Welcome back, viewers. We are tracking the latest developments at this hour, and in fact meantime, what we are learning that India and Croatia have signed 4 memorandums of understanding amidst the Prime Minister's visit to the country. His final tour has concluded, and the MEA has stated that the leaders in their discussions also look forward to an early conclusion of the India-EU FTA, which will boost bilateral trade. Let's listen in.
The two leaders then welcomed the signing of 4 documents. These are an MOU on cooperation in agriculture and allied sectors, a program of cooperation in science and technology, a cultural exchange program, and an MOU on Hindi chair at University of Zagreb. The leaders in their discussions also look forward to an early conclusion of the India-EU FTA, which will give a boost to the bilateral trade and supply chain resilience. Another topic of discussion was increasing connectivity, including through the IMEC Corridor Initiative. The leaders agreed on the importance of concluding a mobility partnership agreement. There are an estimated 17,000 strong Indian diaspora in Croatia. A large number are working in various sectors such as tourism, hospitality, healthcare, and construction. A joint leaders' statement is also being issued. Croatia, as you would know, is the youngest member of the European Union. It has also recently joined the Eurozone and the Schengen arrangement. And the visit of Prime Minister Modi comes soon after the unprecedented first ever visit of the College of Commissioners to India in February. And you would recall that the European Commissioner for Mediterranean, Ms. Dubravka Šuica, who is from Croatia, was also a member of the delegation.
Well, all right. Mehndi Garg joins me with more updates. We have just heard a statement, Mehndi, on the India-Croatia MOUs that have been signed after Prime Minister Narendra Modi completed his visit and also met the Indian diaspora there. What are the key areas where the emphasis has been laid down by the two nations in strengthening the ties as far as, in fact, this mutual relationship built on trust and respect is concerned with Croatia?
Indeed, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Croatia marks a significant milestone in the India-Croatia partnership because the visit, which took place amid global uncertainty, aimed to bolster cooperation in various sectors, including defense, trade, technology, and culture. We just heard the press briefing where PM Modi's visit to Croatia, and MEA Secretary mentioned that what are the key outcomes of the visit was signing of the 4 MOUs on cooperation in agriculture and allied sectors, a program of cooperation in science and technology, a cultural exchange program, and an MOU on Hindi chair at University of Zagreb to promote Indian language and culture. So indeed, it was very important. It was a very important visit further, and the two leaders welcomed the signing of 4 documents, and these are the MOUs on cooperation that have been signed between the both countries. So PM Modi and Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković discussed ways to boost bilateral trade and supply chain resilience between both the countries, with a focus on concluding the India-EU free trade agreement also at an early date. So not only this, Simran, but also the visit which took place amid the global uncertainty, it aimed to bolster and to make the bilateral relations much stronger in terms of the cooperation in various sectors. So indeed, the leaders emphasized the importance of cooperation, counter-terrorism as well, with Prime Minister Modi thanking Croatia for its support and solidarity in the wake of terror attacks in Pahalgam as well. So the leaders agreed to strengthen the India-Croatia Startup Bridge initiative as well, Simran, promoting innovation and also entrepreneurship and building upon the MOU signed 2 years ago. Also, the leaders agreed to explore increased collaboration in defense as well, and they agreed to formulate a long-term defense cooperation plan as well, focusing on training, military exchange, and also defense industry collaboration. So indeed, it was a fruitful visit of Prime Minister Modi because he was also the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Croatia. So Croatia and India relationships will bolster in the upcoming years, we can say, after this high delegation meet that happened. Yes, Simran.
All right. In fact, Mehndi, on that note, continue to be with us. We are also learning further updates and more breaking developments. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković have held joint address in Zagreb following the delegation level talks and agreements signed between the two countries. The Prime Minister then called the day an important milestone in the bilateral relations. Let's now listen in.
मुझे बहुत प्रसन्नता है कि जागरेब के इस सुंदर शहर में मुझे आने का अवसर मिला। भले ही ये यात्रा छोटी है, लेकिन इस दौरान मुझे आपके शहर की संस्कृति, जीवन शैली और यहाँ के लोगों की गर्मजोशी का सुंदर अनुभव हुआ। यह मुझे एक अपनेपन का एहसास हुआ। इन सभी तैयारियों के लिए और आत्मीय स्वागत के लिए मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी और उनकी टीम का हार्दिक धन्यवाद करता हूं। आज का दिन हमारे द्विपक्षीय संबंधों में एक अहम पड़ाव है। हमने बहुत से ऐसे महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय लिए हैं जो भारत और क्रोएशिया की साझेदारी को और मजबूत करेंगे और नए क्षेत्रों में मिलकर काम करने के रास्ते खोलेंगे। आइए हम सब मिलकर प्रधानमंत्री जी के उत्तम स्वास्थ्य के लिए, हमारे दोनों देशों के बीच घनिष्ठ मित्रता को और सुदृढ़ करने के लिए और हमारे लोगों की निरंतर प्रगति और समृद्धि के लिए शुभकामनाएं व्यक्त करें।
All right, in fact, we have just heard a statement by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his Croatia visit and on the milestone that this visit has been for both the nations, while it has strengthened the ties in many areas across the energy, technology, agriculture as well. Mehndi, what are you picking up as far as these avenues working together for both the leaders in Croatia and New Delhi is concerned?
Well, Simran, Prime Minister Modi held productive discussions with Prime Minister Andrej Plenkovic in Zagreb, and we just heard Prime Minister Modi's statement that he welcomes Croatia's friendship in the upcoming years as well. And talking about Prime Minister Modi then taking to his X platform as well, he mentioned that how the talks focused on enhancing bilateral cooperation across key sectors, including defense and security, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, information technology, and renewable energy as well. So these were the key focus areas of the high-level delegation talks that happened between both counterparts, and also the two leaders explored synergies in areas such as semiconductors, shipbuilding, connectivity, people-to-people ties, and more as well. So indeed, it was a fruitful high delegation meets that happened. And Prime Minister Modi also extended his greetings and said that he's happy that he got the opportunity to, visit Zagreb and visit Croatia as the first Indian Prime Minister to visit the country. And also he said that how this visit was important. Indeed, it was a small visit, but the experience that Prime Minister Modi expressed in his speech as well, and the city's culture that he appreciated as well was a much more. And he also appreciated
in fact,
the
Mehndi,
people's
continue to be with us. What we are learning further is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has departed for India after concluding a fruitful visit to Croatia. This concludes the PM's three-nation tour that saw him visiting Cyprus, Canada and Croatia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the landmark visit, saying this visit ushers in a new chapter in our shared journey of friendship and extensive cooperation. All right, Mehndi, what are you picking up as this trip, this visit, in fact, has been concluded? A three-nation tour finally comes to an end.
Did his visit to Croatia, and now he has emplaned to national capital Delhi as well, and it marked an important significant milestone in the bilateral relationships between the two countries. And also he was on a three-nation tour. His first stop was Cyprus, followed by Canada, where he attended the G7 summit, and then Croatia, making it the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the European nation. So during his visit, Simran, Prime Minister Modi was warmly welcomed by the people and government of Croatia, and also he expressed his gratitude for the warm welcome that he received in all the three nations that he visited. And he also highlighted the visit's significance in ushering in a new chapter and in the shared journey of friendship and extensive cooperation between the countries he visited in this his tour. So he also shared his positive experiencing of visiting Cyprus, Croatia, Zagreb, and also meeting the counterparts of all the three countries. And also he mentioned, and also it was mentioned that how it was a bit dicey for the Prime Minister to visit G7 summit, but indeed he attended the G7 summit that happened in Kananaskis in Canada as well, appreciating meeting the counterparts there as well. So Prime Minister Modi also noted that the visit marked an important milestone in bilateral relationships with both the with all the three nations, with many significant decisions made to will strengthen the ties between India Cyprus, India Canada, and also India Croatia, and specifically mentioning India Croatia ties.
All
so
right, Mandy, thank you very much with the updates and all the information that you are picking up on this very front. It's time to move forward with more updates. Tata Sons and Air India Chairman N. Chandrasekaran on Wednesday have issued a big statement after the ill-fated crash of the AI-171 Air India flight carrying 242 passengers, killing after the crash 241 of them and also many on the ground at the BJ Medical College. The statement follows, and I quote, "The ill-fated Air India flight A171, which crashed in Ahmedabad on June 12th, killing over 270 people in total, had no prior red flags, and both its engines were in a good working condition." He called it an extremely difficult situation and added that speculators must wait for the black box analysis to uncover the truth. Jatin Rawal is joining me with more updates. Now, Jatin, in fact, the big statement that has come this morning is from the Tata chairman, and this is in fact also pertaining to the speculations that have been emerging after the fatal crash, raising questions as to what really transpired behind the crash as it took off. And the black box recovery that has been made only continues to further grip the suspense of what really happened behind this crash, which had no signs of prior red flags. Jatin.
जी देखिए, बिल्कुल आपको बता दूं, ये जो टाटा सन्स और एयर इंडिया के जो चेयरमैन हैं एन चंद्रशेखर, उन्होंने कल बताया था कि जो 12 जून को अहमदाबाद में जो दुर्घटना हुई, जो एयर इंडिया के विमान में जो एयर इंडिया का जो विमान था ये AI-170, और उसमें पहले से ऐसी कोई चेतावनी नहीं थी और उसके दोनों इंजन जो थे वो बिल्कुल पूरी तरह से अच्छी स्थिति में थे। और इससे बेहद कठिन परिस्थिति बताते उन्होंने कहा कि अटकलबाजों को सच्चाई सामने लाने के लिए अभी तक ब्लैक बॉक्स जो है उसका विश्लेषण का इंतजार करना चाहिए। ये बेहद कठिन परिस्थिति है जहाँ मेरे पास मरने वाले के लिए और परिवारों के लिए सांत्वना देने के लिए अलावा और कोई शब्द नहीं है। उन्होंने इस त्रासदी के लिए खेद भी जताया। चंद्रशेखर ने कहा कि मुझे गहरा अफसोस है कि ये दुर्घटना टाटा द्वारा संचालित एयरलाइन में हुआ और मुझे बेहद दुख है। हम इस समय केवल इतना कर सकते हैं, हम परिवारों के साथ हैं, हम उनके साथ दुख मनाएं और हम इस समय उसके बाद भी उनका समर्थन करने के लिए भी कुछ न कुछ जरूर करेंगे।
All right, Jatin, continue to be with us on the broadcast. What we are learning further is that in the aftermath of the air crash, the Ministry of Civil Aviation has also released new draft rules to tighten the control over the structures that pose risk to the aircraft safety. The draft, titled as Aircraft Demolition of the Obstruction Rules 2025, will come into force once published in the official gazette. The rules seek to empower authorities to act swiftly against buildings and trees that violate height restriction in notified aerodrome zones. These are the new drafts which have been now given, in fact, position, have given space after this deadly air crash. These measures are being seen as a very direct move to prevent the future accidents caused by flight path obstruction, if that continues to be one of the reasons due to which the lives of nearly 300 people were put at risk. Jatin joins me. Jatin, जो ये नए रूल्स आए हैं एयर इंडिया एविएशन के बाद जो हादसा हुआ है और एविएशन डिजास्टर के बाद जो देखा जा रहा है, इन रूल से क्या क्या बदलाव देखने को मिल सकते हैं? सबसे अहम बात यह है क्योंकि इस समय ये तो सामने नहीं आया है कि क्या उसका कारण था, पर जो रूल्स आए हैं इनसे किस तरीके के बदलाव डीजीसीए, सिविल एविएशन इंडस्ट्री या ऐसे जो नॉर्म्स हैं जिनको एयरपोर्ट के आसपास के इलाकों के अंदर लागू किया जाएगा, उसमें देखने को मिलेंगे?
जी देखिए, बिल्कुल अभी तक जो एक्चुअल जो रीजन है वो अभी तक देखिए सामने नहीं आया है। किस वजह से प्लान किसी भी तरह से अभी तक मालूम नहीं पाया, सिर्फ अटकलें जो है वो जा रही है। ऐसे में सिविल एविएशन जो है उसने जो है हवाई अड्डों के आसपास जो भी संपूर्ण जो संरचनाएं है, जो बिल्डिंग है या तो जो पेड़ वगैरह है जिसकी हाइट बहुत ज्यादा है, उन सबको नियंत्रित करने के लिए जो है एक नियमों का पूरा लिस्ट जो है वो तैयार किया है अधिसूचित क्षेत्रों में, यानी कि एयरप्लेन के जो जहां टेक ऑफ करता है और जहां लैंडिंग कर रहा है, जो ऐसे जो क्षेत्र है वहां पर इमारतों और पेड़ों की ऊंचाई पर जो है वो सख्त प्रतिबंध जो है वो लगाया जाएगा। और उसमें उसका क्राइटेरिया भी शायद जो है वो बनाया जाएगा कि इतने फुट से ऊंचा पेड़ हो तो उसको काट देना चाहिए और उससे ऊंची बिल्डिंग भी की परमिशन भी जो है वो नहीं दी जानी चाहिए। ऐसे में
All right, Jatin, continue to be with us. We are also learning further that Air India in an official communication has released a statement following the fatal air crash in Ahmedabad. The statement said that Air India is going to reduce the international services on the wide body aircraft by a total of 15%. The statement highlighted that Air India has decided to reduce the international services by 15% for the next few weeks. The cuts will be implemented between now and the 20th of June and it is going to continue thereafter at least till July mid. Air India has also stated that this effectively adds to our reserve aircraft availability to take care of any unplanned disruptions. Jatin, इस हादसे के बाद सबसे ज़्यादा जो आ रहे हैं मामले वो भी एयर इंडिया के विमानों से ही आ रहे हैं और वहाँ पर भी किसी तरीके की तकलीफ या तकनीकी तकलीफ के दौरान जो प्लेन के अंदर डिसरप्शंस हो रही हैं, ट्रैवल और फ्लाइट्स को जो कैंसिल किया जा रहा है, क्या वो भी एक रीज़न हो सकता है कि एयर इंडिया ने जिस तरीके से अभी ये स्टेटमेंट जारी किया है और स्टेटमेंट जारी होने के पीछे के क्या क्या ऐसे कारण रहे हैं उनके बारे में बताइए।
जी देखिए, बिल्कुल आपको बता दूं, ये जो जिस तरह से जो एयर इंडिया में जो ये फ्लाइट, ये जो 12 जून को ये जो 138 वाली जो अहमदाबाद से जो लंदन की जो फ्लाइट थी और जो इसको प्लेन दुर्घटना जो इस विमान को जो है वो हुई। अब देखना यह है कि इसमें अब देखिए अभी तकनीकी कारण इसमें कुछ भी सामने नहीं है, तो ब्लैक बॉक्स पर जब रिपोर्ट आएगा तभी पता चल पाएगा कि इसमें क्या एक्चुअल रीजन था। लेकिन उसके जैसे ही ये प्लेन दुर्घटना हुई है उसके बाद लगातार आप देखिए, चाहे अहमदाबाद में हो, चाहे लखनऊ हो, चाहे हैदराबाद हो, बहुत सारी ऐसी जगहों से, जो दिल्ली से बड़ौदा की फ्लाइट हो, बहुत सारी ऐसी फ्लाइट है एयर इंडिया की जिसमें तकनीकी कारणों की वजह से एयर इंडिया की फ्लाइटें जो है वो कैंसिल करनी पड़ रही है। ऐसे में जो है एयर इंडिया ने कुछ इसीलिए ये अगले कुछ हफ्तों के लिए जो है वाइड बॉडी जो विमानों पर अपनी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सेवा में 15% की कटौती करने का फैसला किया है। कटौती अभी से लेकर 20 जून के बीच जो है वो लागू की जाएगी और उसके बाद कम से कम जुलाई के मध्य तक ये जो है वो जारी रहेगी।
All right, Jatin, continue to be with us. What we are learning further is that prayer meet for the former Chief Minister of Gujarat, Vijay Rupani, who passed away in the Air India flight AI-171 fatal crash, is currently underway in Gandhinagar. We have seen the visuals of how the last rites were conducted of the former Chief Minister of Gujarat, Vijay Rupani, and there is the organization of this prayer meet where leaders and scores of politicians and leaders from across the state and the country are going to come and offer their condolences as well to the bereaved family. While the fatal crash took place, in fact, many people have lost their lives and Vijay Rupani's last prayer meet is taking place. So, Jatin.
जी देखिए, बिल्कुल आज जो है जिस तरह से जो इस प्लेन दुर्घटना के अंदर पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री विजय भाई रूपानी का भी जो है उसमें देहांत हुआ है। ऐसे में कल जो है वो परसों राजकोट के अंदर उनकी प्रार्थना सभा जो है वो वगैरह जो है वो रखी गई थी। आज यहाँ पर गांधीनगर में जो हेलीपैड है, हेलीपैड में जो प्रार्थना सभा है वो रखी गई है। जितने भी यहाँ के गांधीनगर के, अहमदाबाद के, बाकी उत्तर गुजरात के जितने भी जो राजकीय नेता है, चाहे वो धारासभ्य हो, पूर्व धारासभ्य हो, अलग अलग तहसीलों के जो नेता हो या तो जिलों के जो है मुख्यमंत्री, जो जिलों के मंत्री हो, महामंत्री हो या तो जिला प्रमुख हो, वो सभी लोग जो है चाहे बीजेपी से हो चाहे अन्य पार्टी से भी कुछ लोग जो है वो आते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। इनके अलावा भी इस प्रार्थना सभा में बहुत सारे गांधीनगर के जो गांधीनगर जो जहां पर जो कैपिटल है ये गांधीनगर गुजरात का, यहाँ पर बहुत सारे जो सचिव है, आईएएस है, आईपीएस है, वो लोग भी इस प्रार्थना सभा में जो है वो आते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। साथ ही साथ स्थानिक लोग भी जो है वो भी जो विजय रूपाणी के लिए जो आज प्रार्थना सभा का जो आयोजन जो हेलीपैड में किया गया है यहाँ पर आते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। और कल फिर जो है वो गांधीनगर के ही जो कोबा कमलम जो कि बीजेपी का जो कार्यालय है यहाँ पर गुजरात का, वहां पर भी जो है वो कल विजय भाई रूपाणी के श्रद्धांजलि के लिए जो कार्यक्रम है प्रार्थना सभा का वो रखा गया है।
All right, Jatin, thank you very much for being with us on the broadcast and also in fact updating us with the latest developments tracking from the aftermath of the Air India fatal crash. From there, let me pick up the big story. US President Donald Trump has met with the Pakistan's Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, at the White House. Speaking after the meeting, Trump has said that he was honored to meet Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir and thanked him for not entering the war with India and ending the war, calling both the nations very smart for avoiding conflict. The meeting comes after Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a telephonic conversation with the US President, clearly stating that India was not in fact in talks with the United States regarding any trade deals during the Operation Sindhu, bashing all the claims that the US played any part in the cessation of the fire between India and Pakistan. This was the first meeting between a US president and the head of Pakistan's military that held without accompanying senior civilian officials. Meanwhile, a statement has been issued by the White House Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly, mentioning that the reason President Trump is meeting with Pakistan's army chief is that the latter has called for a Nobel Prize to be given to the United States President for averting a nuclear war between India and Pakistan last month. Remember, viewers, this statement has just come a day after when yesterday Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump have spoken over on the call for the telephonic conversation that went about for 35 minutes, focusing on India's clear stand on not wanting to mediate and offer mediation to any third country between the negotiations and hostilities, while retaliations with Pakistan. Ajay Jandyal continues to be with me live on the broadcast with more updates. Ajay, now we are just looking at these visuals and the statement, of course, that follows after the meeting of the US President Donald Trump and General Asif Munir. And what it poses as a question is that if this meeting had to be taken place, why did US not clear it out earlier when there were questions if that meeting is on the cards before G7? Ajay. Ajay, if you can hear me correctly.
Yes.
All right. The meeting between Donald Trump and Asif Munir has taken place. It only raises more question, Ajay, as to why exactly the United States not clear its stand and the intentions of meeting with the Pakistan's military chief before the G7 did take place.
See, it seems that Pakistan basically knew that what has happened between India and Pakistan that have totally damaged the image of Pakistan, not only in Pakistan but all over the world as well, because it was a tough time for the Pakistan, the way basically Indian forces have targeted the terror launchpad and other things. So Pakistan was trying to come out of this thing, and that's why this meeting between Pakistani army chief and Donald Trump was shown like that it is to praise Pakistan, but it was hidden, and nothing was shared before G70, and there was no information to anyone that this is going to happen. So it seems that the ongoing situation between Iran and Israel is the only reason that Pakistan was invited by the United States, and even Trump has hosted the lunch for Asim Munir, because US knows that if somebody is important in Pakistan, that is only the Pakistani army and the army chief. That's why they haven't called Pakistani Prime Minister. They only called Asim Munir and hosted a lunch, and it is only just to ensure that if situation worsen between India, Iran, and Israel, and if US has to make an entry, then the neighboring country like Pakistan, like Iraq, like Saudi Arabia, that has to be taken into the confidence, and this is only the reason.
All right. Thank you very much, Ajay, for sharing these latest that you are in fact picking up at this point of time, as we are also tracking the developments. Joining me live on the broadcast is Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava. Thank you, sir, for being with us. US President Donald Trump hosts Asif Munir, and this development did take place when India yesterday, after making in fact the meeting with the 7-nation bloc a very productive one, has made it clear that India is not welcoming any sort of mediation from the United States as far as the retaliations to the Pakistani hostilities is concerned. How do you look at this taking place right now, and does it also raises question on the duplicity of the United States intention as far as countering the terrorism is concerned?
Well, Simran, it is quite clear, and India has made its position very, very clear, and we have been very consistent that India is not going to be accepting any sort of mediation between India and Pakistan. And all the outstanding issues between India and Pakistan can only and only be resolved bilaterally. There is no scope for any kind of a third-party mediation, and it was never there was never any scope of that sort of mediation. There is no scope for such mediation. There shall never be any such scope for any mediation. This point has been made clear by India in a very, very clear terms. And our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi himself, spoke to President Trump and made this point very clear. Secondly, India is also very much determined to take actions against acts of terror, because this new India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has a zero-tolerance policy against terrorism. And that's the best approach to deal with terrorism. That is another point Indian Prime Minister made clear to US President. But having said that, the kind of remarks which we are seeing from US President Donald Trump, and also the kind of meeting he has had with the Pakistani Army Chief, this shows that United States of America's President, he wants to take some credit for whatever he has done. But as far as the United States of America's, if any role was there in de-escalating between India and Pakistan conflict, that was only to provide some support, to create some atmospheric, some kind of facilitation, and that was the only role the United States of America played.
All right, in fact,
India,
Mr. Srivastava, thank you very much for being with us on the broadcast, and now we are moving forward with more updates. 2 Indian nationals studying in the United States have been sentenced to federal prison in separate but similar fraud cases involving elaborate scams that targeted the elderly Americans and resulted in the millions of dollars in losses. According to the US Department of Justice, 20-year-old Kishan Rajkumar Patel participated in an online phishing conspiracy that impersonated the US government officials and used the fear tactics to extract the money and gold from senior citizens. Investigation has determined the scheme defrauded at least 25 elderly victims with an intended loss of $26,94,156. In a similar case, another person identified as Muhammad, another Indian student, was sentenced earlier this year to 8 years in prison for a similar scam that defrauded elderly Americans for nearly $6 million. Arzu Seth is joining me with more updates. Arzu, these are 2 Indian students from the Indian origin studying in the United States, now have been sentenced to prison for defrauding the elderly, earning lakhs and crores in dollars. What more are you picking up?
Well, definitely, Simran, two Indian nationals studying in the US have been sentenced to federal prison in separate fraud case that targeted elderly Americans, leading to multi-million-dollar losses. Also, the name was Kishan Rajkumar Patel, who was 20-year-old, who came to the US on the student visa, was sentenced this week to over 5 years in prison after pleading guilty to the conspiracy to commit money laundering. He frauded at least 25 elderly people, with an intended loss of nearly billion 2.7 million, and Patel used to impersonate a government official and also used peer tactics to steal money and gold from the victims. And not only this case, but also this defendant took advantage of his visa status in our country and participated in an international fraud scheme. This is what the US attorney has to say. Or also, Patel defrauded vulnerable American citizens out of millions of dollars by impersonating government officials. His co-defendant Dhruv also, pleaded guilty this week in awaiting sentencing. Yes, Imran.
All right. In fact, Arzu, thank you very much with the latest updates that you're tracking. Now, viewers, on that note, with more news and updates on the other side, stay tuned.